When I'm sitting at a table, I'm not the disabled guy. I get to be Anthony.
Mhm.
When I'm sitting at the
Yeah.
table with,
Mhm.
telling these stories and giving a description of battle and all these other things, they don't see the disabled guy. They don't see the guy who is
Mm.
um, had to deal with a lot in his life. They just see me. They get to
Mhm.
be around
Oh,
me. And
yeah.
it is so refreshing when I am sitting in those environments, not just being able to do it at home, but being able to be my authentic self in other places. That has
Mm.
helped me cope immensely.
All right, recorded live from the place we'd never expected to be, it's the Roll for Joycast, where we quest in order to play our way to a world of holy wholeness.
I'm your host, Rory, your dungeon master pastor.
And I'm your host, Trin, your spiritual companion and therapist.
Today is episode 5, where we talk to the daily DM, Reverend Anthony Krones, a medically retired minister from the Seventh-day Adventist tradition, a new member of the team over at the Side Quest podcast, and our special guest DM at this year's Holy Rollers Retreat. But first, let's roll initiative and meet the players at the table. All right, everyone, roll your dice. See what you get.
8.
Dice.
Oh, I got a 4.
I got a 6.
I won with an 8.
You won with
You
an 8.
won with an 8.
All right. Well, Anthony, you get our backstory question first. Welcome to the Roll for Joycast.
Glad to be here.
And as a way of introducing yourself to our listeners, why don't you answer this question? If you could go back to your elementary school age self, what advice would you give them?
I grew up as a military brat, and I would tell myself, "Don't worry, you're not going to be moving forever. Eventually, you will settle down."
Oh, that's good.
What were some of the places you lived as a military brat?
Oh Lord, all over the United States, Florida, South Dakota, Kansas, all sorts of places, and then I've also lived in Keflavik, Iceland, and Stuttgart, Germany.
Wow.
And you just recently moved too.
Yes, I did.
Welcome to the Twin Cities.
So glad to be out here.
Yeah. Well, welcome indeed. Trin with a 6. I think you get to go next.
Yeah, I guess.
If you could go back to your elementary school age self, what advice are you giving them?
This is one of those simple questions that's also super what would I say? Um, I guess I would tell my elementary self to really, I guess, follow their instincts on who they know they are rather than following what they're told and who they're told they need to be. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was something that your elementary school self was told?
Um well, I think I was told a lot of things throughout my entire upbringing, but a lot of the things especially as an elementary student was you're a girl, even though I wildly did not feel like one. And people made comments about it that I was not girly enough. And that I had to be girls marry boys, and that's just how it is. Um and those are things that I spent a lot of my life trying to live up to, but I am more gender expansive than that, and my sexuality is more expansive as well. And I just wish that I would have been able to live into my identity a lot sooner. So those things.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
All right, Roy, what about you? If you could go back to your elementary school age self, what advice would you give?
Oh man. I think I would tell myself so many things. One would be to be less crazy and less afraid of girls. I, I was someone who was both crazy about girls and very afraid of girls. I thought the only way to talk to girls was to trick them into interacting with me. I actually, as a third grader, I wrote a school play in which I got my third grade crush I convinced her to play a a princess in the play. I created like this D&D adventure play. And my third grade crush, I convinced her into doing it, and then I wrote in the script that we got married at the end. And that was as far as I got. I never was like chill. It was like there's never a chill part of me um and girls. So I would say, Rory, be chill. Just take it easy, and it'll be okay. But oh well. Oh well. Kids, childhood was wild.
It
Yeah.
is.
It really is. It's fun. Like I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they're just getting into all of the like friendships and best friends and having friends over and wanting to play with friends all the, just all the social things that I feel like I did really poorly growing up. And so I also don't know how to help them either.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's
No, I
it's
get
all
it.
right. That's why my wife is around. She's the one who understands social cues and how to be cool around people. And I'm just me.
I don't know, Rory. I think you're pretty cool, just as you
Well,
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
I've worked up to it. I've worked up to it. It was definitely not where I started.
I mean, you could have a kid like my youngest son who when he goes to school online and when he was told, "Yeah, you can connect with all the other people in your class and you can make friends," where he muted his mic, turned to my wife and I and said, "I don't need any more friends. I have enough friends." And he named off like me, his oldest brother, and like one other friend that he had that he goes on play dates with. He's like, anything more than that would just wear me out. And he's 7. So like my son, the introvert, welcome.
Oh yes.
That's awesome. At least he knows himself. Like,
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
gotten it.
quality over quantity, man.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. Oh, man. That's my kids are 10 and 12, and the relationship drama just, oh, Lord. And especially with puberty, oh,
Oh,
the
Mm-hmm.
conversations that my son is telling me that he's having with his friends, I'm like, thank God we have an open relationship and you trust me to talk to me. I'm going to inside freak out and calm my face down. Oh, gosh.
sorry.
Just,
I
yeah.
didn't mean to make that face out loud.
Yeah. Mm. Oh, there was one conversation specifically this last week that I was like, thank God that I'm a trained therapist because holy shit. I
Yeah.
kept my cool, but inside I was flipping out. It's just like, and lovely. I love puberty. No,
Oh,
it's,
childhood.
it's terrible. And my kid's going into middle school. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just I don't think anybody had fun in middle school. I didn't.
I didn't. It took a while. It took a
Yeah,
while.
it took a while.
Yeah. Well, hey, before we get into our main segment, just want to remind our listeners and viewers out there that if you are enjoying the Roll for Joycast, the best thing you can do is subscribe, review it, share it with somebody else. We appreciate all of that, and we're a new podcast trying to get going here, and love to have every one of you tuning in. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, let's get into our main section tonight, chatting more with Anthony. So, Anthony, you have quite a lot going on in the world of play and D&D. You've got a blog over at the Daily DM. You've got, you just joined the team over at the Side Quest podcast. You've got a gaming community that you've told me about before we started recording off back home in Huntsville, Alabama, where you just came from, and hopes and dreams for what you can do here, as well as joining the team with us at Roll for Joy for this year's Holy Rollers retreat. Yeah, super excited. So, how did you get into all this? What is your story? Your call story of Dungeons and Dragons. How has the world of role playing games called out to you? And maybe share a bit about your faith. What was your call to
yeah.
ministry in the midst of all that?
Yeah. So my entry into D&D was actually tangential because my parents played. And they had their friends. They played with a couple friend that they knew. And our families got close enough where like the mom and dad were aunt and uncle. their kids were
Mm.
cousins. I had known their youngest son, the one who was my age, since kindergarten. As we grew up, and our parents would move apart, but then we get back together every once in a while. All these things. Well, about the time I was my my cousin Daniel snagged a couple of the first edition books from his dad. Said, "Hey, since you guys are playing second edition, can we borrow these?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, have fun. Don't tear them up." And suddenly Daniel comes down with a DMG, a monster manual, and a player's handbook, and says, "Would you like to play?" And I'm like,
Oh.
"What are we playing?" His brother's like, "Dude, we can play D&D like our parents." I was like, "That sounds awesome." I've heard my dad tell stories. My mom and dad tell stories from their games, so I was like, "Yeah."
Uh-huh.
And ironically, considering my calling later in life, my first character was a cleric.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. I fell in love with clerics. I have always liked clerics, and I don't understand people like, "Oh, I don't want to be the healer." Man, clerics are awesome. Um, but no, I got started when I was about 12. And then when they moved away again, we were living in Germany. I was about 15, and I was talking about D&D to a couple of friends of mine. I was the only one who had any semblance of knowledge of the rules. And so guess who
Mhm.
got to be the DM? This guy.
There
And
you go.
I have been DMing ever since. It has been almost 29 years that I have been DMing. And I love it. Faith has always been something that's pretty strong in my life. I actually grew up Roman Catholic. My family is
Oh.
Roman Catholic. Yeah. And then later on, when after I had met my wife and wanted to learn more about, her beliefs, I had already had not really a falling out, but I was already at the point where the things that the Catholic Church were teaching and emphasizing just weren't in line with what I believed anymore. And
Mhm.
my wife and I got introduced before I deployed to Iraq, and um, I wanted to learn more about this faith. And so I ended up making, for lack of a better word, a secret appointment with her pastor, and started meeting with him. And it was really crazy starting to, learn to reread the Bible, coming from a Catholic tradition, and going to a Protestant pastor. I was really relearning to read the Bible, which I had always been
Mm.
pretty biblically literate compared to a lot of my other Catholic contemporaries my age, but really learning to reread everything and study for myself, which was phenomenal. Um, Fast forward, I was a government contractor for the military, living out in Huntsville, and I lost my job, so I got laid off. And I remember watching my bank account just drop and watching those numbers drop because I went from making very good money to only $265 a week in unemployment. That was my entire income. Yeah,
Wow.
it was a really rough time in my life.
Mm.
And, one day, I was praying. I'm like, "Lord, what am I doing here? I know you called me. You said I can come out here. What am I doing?" And I got the very strong feeling that the Lord said, "It's time to stop messing around. You're going to come work for me." The funny thing is, even when I was Catholic, I knew I was called to ministry, but the problem was I liked girls too much. Those two
Mhm.
things don't intersect. And then when I found out as a Protestant, no, those things work just fine together. That's awesome. So I ended up going to Bible college for 2.5 years, and got picked up to pastor shortly thereafter. I'd always had a very big love of gaming, of playing D&D particularly, but I learned about other TTRPGs out there. But um, a friend of mine from Alabama had actually told me about the Holy Rollers retreat. And I don't even know if you remember, Rory, I'd been emailing you for years trying to get into the retreat, but just it never lined up. It just didn't work out for so many reasons. And then COVID happened. And then I
Yeah.
found out you're like, "Yeah, we're not doing it this year." And I'm like, "Okay." So my first year wasn't until 2023, getting to go in 2023. Had an absolute blast and found out that there was actually a space where ministry and faith can intersect with my other passion with tabletop gaming. And when I found that place, I was like, "These are my people. This is where I've belonged this whole time. Why have I not been here earlier?" Um, so yeah, and I've always used D&D to teach concepts of morality and how actions have consequences with my kids and other people I've played with. Um,
Yeah.
and
Well, I'm
then,
so glad. I'm so
yeah.
glad that we were able to make that work.
Oh my gosh.
Back in 23. I mean, I always love to have the interest and receive an email from somebody. But you've been just a wonderful addition to our little Roll for Joy
Thank you.
community, and we're really excited to have you on board this year.
Yeah.
In more of that DMing capacity, which it sounds like I had no idea you've been DMing for 29 years,
It's a
Yeah.
long
which
time.
is a long
That's a
time.
Showing my
long
age.
time.
Yeah, showing my age. But yeah, I always call myself the forever DM, but I do it because I love doing it. I love having that
Mm.
that ability to create worlds and NPCs and characters that live in it, and then having that shared storytelling aspect with others.
Mm.
In
Yeah.
fact, I still have my miniature from my first year, Taro, my dragonborn cleric. He's actually
Yeah.
sitting up on a shelf up behind me.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh,
Yeah. But
that's cool.
yeah, no. And then I had been pastoring for about 2.5 years. And suddenly a major stress event had happened, and I it started with my left arm and shoulder going completely numb. And
Mm.
as the week went on, it was spreading to my entire left side, until I ended up in the hospital that Friday. And Sunday, after a bunch of tests were run and CT scans and MRIs, I had a doctor. I can't make this up. He used to be a pediatrician, but his name was Dr. Goldfish.
Oh,
Cannot make this up. His name was Dr. Goldfish.
that is a good name for a pediatrician.
Right? And he came
Yeah.
in. He came in and he told me, "Mr. Cronus, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you have multiple sclerosis." That was that was rough to hear. And of course, I went down the rabbit hole of what is MS, what does it do, how does it affect me,
Right.
and it was a very dark time in my life. It was a really dark time in my life. But I realized that I wasn't going to be able to sit in the saddle full time anymore doing ministry, right?
Yeah,
But
so you had only been you
yeah,
had done Bible school and were like, I'm making this career change.
Uh,
God, I'm coming to work for you. And you had been in it, you said only 2.5 years,
yeah,
and then this huge left
mm.
turn comes
oh
out.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I heard a lot of people sharing me this and that, but I had 3 different pastors share with me 2 Corinthians 12. To keep me from being conceited, the Lord allowed Satan to put a thorn in my side. 3 times did
Mm.
I ask him to remove it, and 3 times my grace is sufficient. And the thing is, as rough as it was to hear it at the time, I have taken a load of comfort in that, because I was. And the thing is, they were like, I don't even know why I'm sharing this. This one popped into my head when I was on my way to come visit you in the hospital. I'm like, okay, great, thanks. And they're like, I I thought about it a long time, and I was like, okay, Lord, this is where you want me now. This is what I have to find new purpose. I've got to find new direction. And there was a new game store opening in town where we lived. It was a little town of like 33,000 people, but there's a new game store opening. And I'd wanted to go there, but of course I was in the hospital, so couldn't go. And
Yeah.
finally, after I got home, got settled, I'd already put in my disability paperwork and everything. Um, I finally tell my wife, you know what? I'm going to go check out that store. So I check it out. Great people, good environment. They've got a lot that they want to do that's good for the community. And I said, you know what? I got an idea. Um, so back then, my wife and I were professional foster parents. And we specialized in teens, particularly young ladies. And that you talk about puberty and hormones and everything. Having a house full of
Hmm.
teen girls was like, okay. But I decided to, like, you know what? I'm gonna give my wife a day off a week. One day a week, I'm gonna give her the day off and take the kids and go do something. So what did I do? I taught the kids how to play D&D. So I took them to the store, and it started out with me and the foster kids, and then they invited their friends. and they invited their friends, and their friends invited their friends, until I was
Oh.
running the table with the middle school kids, and there were other teens running the other tables. There was even a homework table where if they didn't have their homework done, the other kids would rat each other out and say, "You have a paper due tomorrow. Go to the homework table."
Oh, funny.
Oh yeah, it was great.
That's
It
awesome.
was great. And until one day, this mom comes up with this kid in tow, and all the kids at my table were like, "Ah, hey, ah," and they knew this kid. And she looks at me and goes, "Are you the dad that runs this?" I kind of do this, looking around. I'm like, "I guess I am."
Yes, you are.
And and that is how I accidentally started my first Adventurers League community.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, of course, that didn't last too long because I moved. After getting disabled, my wife and I decided we wanted to move. Moved back to Huntsville, Alabama, where I left from doing Bible college, and went back there. A friend of mine kept telling me about this game store that he loves that he went to, and meanwhile, I'm finding my pace in my new normal, right? What they call your new normal when you have a
Yeah.
disability.
Yeah.
Because I have mobility issues, I have memory issues, I have speech issues on occasion. I sound really well right now because I'm having a good evening, but I have aphasia as well, which is really difficult, especially if you're DMing, because the words are there, but they will not come out of your mouth. So
Right.
that's a thing. My friend kept telling me about the store, and I was like, okay, well, I'll check it out. And actually, the same friend who told me about the Holy Rollers retreat, the same
That's
exact
a good
friend.
friend.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a good friend.
yeah. And he's like, yeah, you got to check out the store. So I go and check it out, and I found out they have an Adventures League group, and I was really big into following the rules for Adventures League back then. What they were with the tracking paperwork and
Oh,
following
yeah.
I liked all that
It
stuff.
changed all the
Oh
time
my
too,
gosh,
though. It
yeah.
was like
Oh
every
yeah.
few months they're like, "Oh, do it this way,"
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
was a new bureaucratic headache.
Yeah.
But
I
you
rolled with
loved
it.
it, which
I
is
rolled
great.
with it. I rolled with it. And
Good for you.
so I show up, and the guy who's saying is like, yeah, I run Adventures League. I'm looking at these tables. We're like 10 to 12 players a table. And I'm like,
Oh,
eye
no, you don't.
twitching. And I'm like, nobody's doing any tracking paperwork. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, all right. I was like, I'll just sit at a table and play. I just want to let you know I am a DM, so I can help and do stuff, but I'll sit and play. He's like, yeah, go ahead, get your feet wet playing and everything. And so I did that for a while and played for a little while. And finally I was talking, I was like, hey man, look, I was like, you need help. I do Adventurers League. I've done it. And he's like, well, you know what? Funny story. I've been wanting to step back from it. I'm like, oh, he's like, how would you like to inherit the whole program? Okay. Keep in
There you
mind,
go.
I arrived in June. He's handing me the program in October.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, are you going to have a problem if I kind of do things my way? He goes, no, please do what you want. You'll probably get a little bit of pushback, but I'm pretty sure the group will be fine. Descent to Avernus was the adventure that season. So
Okay.
I started running this Adventurers League, and I had, before COVID hit, 9 tables. One table consisting entirely of nothing but 11-year-old girls, the cutest group of little murder hobos you would ever know. The DM told me a story where it's like, yeah, the druid says, I want to wild shape into a crocodile. And he's like, okay, you wild shape into a crocodile. The barbarian says, I want to pick up the crocodile and throw it at the enemy. And I look at him, he's like, they got this 1,000-yard stare as he's telling us. I'm like, dude, you okay? He goes, it was total chaos. It was fun chaos, but total chaos. I was like, that's adorable.
I love it.
But it was great. It was a great
I want
community.
that table.
We had youth, we had adults, we had everybody in between. And I built this program and kept it running through COVID as best I could, because we all know that was a terrible time.
Yeah.
But starting to learn online gaming, getting that going. And then after COVID had died down, I got my vaccine. I came back, and we never recovered back to 9 tables, but we had 5 to 6 tables. But it was still a very diverse group, having youth all the way up to one gentleman who was at my table, no joke, 83 years old, and still the kind of guy that will throw dice and say, this guy's kind of a jerk. Can I just lightning bolt him? God love Pop Pop.
I
We
love
love him to
this.
death. Oh my gosh, yeah.
11-year-olds and 80 octogenarians.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
And
is a great
everything in
stretch.
between. Oh my gosh, it was. And through the whole
Man,
thing,
that's what I love
I
about this
love it.
game. It's a
It
game that
is.
that includes so many different kinds of people, and it can take it all, and it's just like
Yeah.
anybody can get in and participate and be a part of the fun
Oh
and
yeah.
be a part of the table.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the cool thing was I was still able to do ministry in a limited aspect. Went to from being I was always given the honorific of pastor, which was very kind of the churches I went to. But they also let me preach and teach every once in a while as my capabilities allowed me. So I was still able to get in the pulpit once in a while. And still got to practice my faith in the way that God had called me to. But the
Mm-hmm.
cool part about it was, and this is the part I enjoy the most, is the fact that there are a lot of things in many pulpits that you can't say, if that makes any sense. Like there is a political correctness in a lot of pulpits that you have to navigate.
Yep.
My new answer to that was, what are they going to do? Fire me? So I was allowed to say those things that weren't normally allowed to be said. And I always told them, I was like, hey, if you don't like what I'm saying, don't invite me back. They kept inviting me
There you
back.
go.
So I'm like, okay, here we go again, you know? And so I still got to do that. And then, of course, my second year at the Holy Rollers, 2024, um, again, had an absolute blast. That year was great because I actually got to bring a special guest with me, my oldest son, who is a
Uh-huh.
in school to be a chaplain, pseudo following after dad's
Mm,
footsteps, but navigating his own path, which I'm very proud of. And a couple more than once. Getting to be that was awesome, and I love that. But I will say one of the things that has been a difficult bit was and has been navigating my disability.
Mm.
Um,
mm,
I used to be in
Yeah,
the
say
U.S. Armed Forces.
yeah,
yeah.
so what branch of the
Big
forces
change.
were you a part of?
I was Air Force. I was Air Force.
Okay.
Deployed overseas a number of times, and
Yeah.
Mm,
my disability is actually service connected. So Uncle Sam takes pretty good care of me, but it doesn't change the fact that, for example, there are days where my wife will say, "Hey, don't forget you have this." Since when? Check your calendar. I look at my calendar. I
Oh.
have no memory at all of having done this. Um, in fact,
mm,
if it's not in the calendar, it doesn't exist. And
Uh-huh.
I am constantly putting alarms and reminders. Like if you looked at my desk right now, there are sticky notes all over the place here to remind me of this or that, even some random things.
yeah.
Like, how many feet are in a mile? That has been a thing in my life lately, so I had to write it down. But my memory is probably one of the worst things that's happened to me. I used to have an ironclad memory. I was very proud of my memory. But it's one of the things that hit me the hardest. And then, of course, mobility. I walk with a cane at best, and I'm in a wheelchair at worst. Um, so that has been tough. And then to add all of that together, I'm ADHD.
Mm.
So I get those fun things of, the time blindness and fun things like that. So it's a
Yeah.
really interesting intersection. In fact, I actually had a neurologist once tell me, she's like, you have ADHD, you have multiple sclerosis, and you're a combat vet with PTSD. I said, yeah. She goes, you would be a fascinating study if I was actually in research still. Thanks, Doc.
Well, you are a fascinating human
Yeah.
being,
Well, thank you.
Anthony Krones.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, yeah, that was interesting. Just being able to navigate those things. Probably the last thing I got to do, and probably one of the things I loved my Adventurers League folks. They were great,
Yeah.
awesome bunch, and I loved them to death. But probably one of the projects I got to do that I was most proud of was helping stand up a D&D table or a tabletop club for a high school.
Okay.
Mm,
One of my friends was is a high school drama teacher, and she's like, "Hey, I want to stand up a tabletop club. What do I do?" And so I said, "Well, first off, you go to Wizards and you go to Games Workshop and they have these special phone numbers you call, and you call them, you give them your teacher email address, and they will send care packages. And she
Yeah.
said, okay. The following year, she's like, I want them to learn more than D&D. What can we do? So I said, okay, I've wanted to be more involved anyways. How about we teach them some new systems? So every month we played a new system. We did Tales from the Loop, which if you have never heard of it, it's you play as children aged 11 to 15 in the weird 80s. Super fun.
Okay.
Then you have uh, Rune Quest, role playing in Glorantha. Whereas D&D is like high fantasy Tolkien-esque type thing. This is Bronze Age mythology type era. Super fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Call of
I
Cthulhu.
was just
Yeah.
at Gen Con and someone was telling me all about RuneQuest, Glorantha,
Oh
and
yeah.
talking about it as like if like theologians had a tabletop game publisher, they would publish this
Hmm.
Glorantha,
Yeah.
and it was the theology behind it,
Hmm.
the way the gods interact was just such a different take on it from what you
Yeah.
get in a traditional D&D sort of setting.
Oh yeah, it's the system is just is amazing. It's a little crunchier than D&D is, but it's a lot of fun to play. Yeah, did that. I taught them Cyberpunk uh using the
Okay.
2077 add-on rules. They absolutely love that. And then the last one I did was Call of Cthulhu, which
Okay.
I thought, yeah, this is kind of cool. Oh man, they ate it up. They were like, this, more of this. And of course, when my friends started writing all these game companies saying, "Hey, would do you have anything to help send to us to help do this game club?" Chaosium was like, "Here, play our stuff." And they sent starter boxes for all of their things. It was
Wow.
like
Oh,
all these
amazing.
companies were so
Man, gaming
generous.
companies can be so cool.
They
Yeah,
can be.
they
They
are.
really
Yeah.
Yeah.
can be.
I mean, even ChessX sent stuff, if that tells you anything. ChessX never
I
does anything, and they sent a bunch of dice and game mats, and all these
Wow.
places were just super, super generous.
Awesome.
Yeah,
You've done a bit of everything, Anthony.
He really has.
Like,
I
you've just
have.
been all over the place. That is
Yeah,
so cool.
He's been
yeah,
all over the map, all over
Mhm.
the sort of career path, navigating so many different changes in your life, and so many real like volatile situations that would
yeah,
be
Yeah.
like really tough.
Yeah.
I mean, navigating like a diagnosis of MS and becoming classified as disabled.
mhm, yeah,
Navigating being a parent, and not just being a parent, but being a foster parent and dealing with
Mhm.
everything that involves. And that you still find energy for putting it back into the community.
yeah.
And like, what has that? How is that all? What role has that community played for you, or what's kept you going in the midst of all this? Because this is a lot, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number one, I have a super supportive family. My kids and my children-in-law, my son and daughter-in-law are um they're all amazingly supportive. Um, there are days where, I'm just not capable of driving myself from point A to point B. Just having that kind of a day. And my son's like, Dad, where do you need to go? I'm like, well, I need to go here to do a thing. He's like, all right, I'll drive. Okay. I don't like being in a car when other people drive. I've always had this thing of, you know, other people driving me, but my kids have been super, super supportive. And then the gaming community, being able to engage in the gaming community and watch them give back to me. And it was totally unplanned. It was totally unexpected. But one of my friends threw me this when I left Huntsville, this really amazing goodbye party. And a hail and farewell, as we called it in the military. And I got so many people telling stories that they remember of being at my table, or
Mm.
me remembering stories of other people being at my table, and realizing in hindsight that I had a positive effect on people. I mean,
Mhm.
not every I wasn't everybody's biggest fan. You can't, and you're not going to win them all, but um, I
Yeah.
had overall a positive impact on people, and that has kept me going, knowing that what I'm doing is doing some good in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Were
mean,
there were sorry, I got a question.
yeah,
Were
go.
there like specific because you have all this, I mean, it's a lot for anybody, but were there specific parts of like playing or leading games or a part of D&D that you were creating that really helped you cope with all of the changes?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Um, it was the being, and that's one of the things that DMing was really helped. When I'm sitting at a table, I'm not the disabled guy. I get to be Anthony.
Mm.
When I'm sitting at the
Yeah.
table with,
Mhm.
telling these stories and giving a description of battle and all these other things, they don't see the disabled guy. They don't see the guy who is
Mm.
um, had to deal with a lot in his life. They just see me. They get to
Mhm.
be around
Oh,
me. And
yeah.
it is so refreshing when I am sitting in those environments, not just being able to do it at home, but being able to be my authentic self in other places. That has
Mm.
helped me cope immensely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
that is so good, Anthony.
yeah, I think it's one of the things about play and about this
Yeah.
kind of play that is so powerful is that it allows you to be more authentically you,
Yeah.
which is it doesn't, I mean, we're playing as fantasy characters, we're telling stories where we are not ourselves, like we are playing an alibi, we are playing a player character, a character that we've created, but in those characters with that veneer of playing somebody, we're also freed in this way to be ourselves in a way
Absolutely.
that the masks that were put on by other people around us all day long, they come off and we get to play as whatever the hell we want.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
which is why when I got to play, my first year at Holy Rollers, for example, getting to play Tarl, and suddenly, Aaron says, "We would like to see volunteers to go on a holy quest to find Saint Leroy." I turned and said, "I'm in." And got to go and be part of this story, and get to be that guy that goes and helps redeem Saint Leroy, that I still tell that story. It was a blast,
It's a good,
you know.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
seeing that in the players guide that we had for this last year, where that story was in there, and I'm like, oh man, that's so cool. And I was showing my wife when I printed it out, and I was like, dude, I'm a
This was
part of this.
us.
This was us,
Mm.
you know.
I'm part of the lore.
Yeah, and that stuff like that is just so cool. And then, other people in the community talking about different games that we've played that, they're like, "Oh yeah, we totally did this thing and it was part of the campaign that we did this and this and it changed the entire campaign." And I totally dislike DMs that set up an adversarial relationship with their players. It's
Sure.
is it's a it's
Oh,
it's not a good thing. As much as I enjoy the "ha ha ha, you've fallen into my trap," as a DM, it's one of those things secretly, I want to see my players succeed. I
Yeah,
want
you
to I
you
want to see
like
their
as a
happy ending.
DM, you play the heel like on purpose. Like you're the guy that is maniacal and whatever, but you're also, you as a like it when I play as a DM, like I love it when the players then get one over on that guy, or
Oh
they
yeah.
like he makes a mistake or she makes a mistake and the players are able to
Oh
get in
yeah.
on them, and it's a blast.
And
I think yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
I just think that I was just having this conversation with my my D&D group that I just played with like a week ago. And we were talking about styles of play, and we were like, we just really love to play when it's really about like building a great story together, and it's not really about just being we always just say without being a jerk and just being selfish, but like really trying to work together, create this beautiful
Mhm.
story, and that the DM isn't just fixated on killing us all the time,
Yeah.
like that the DM cares about the story too.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
I mean, there's just some powerful things that can take place and community that can be built, and like and there's just something special about the game and the fact that we all mask
Mhm.
different things, and especially if you're neurospicy like Anthony and I, we're taught to mask from a really young age. And so
Mhm.
D&D
Yeah.
gives us this like, I'm gonna take all this shit off and I'm gonna just be me and play as me.
Yeah.
And that just seems to be so much more well received in the real effing world that's not built for us, right, Anthony?
Exactly, exactly. My last day, my goodbye party, I was already had the day. I had already set the day aside, and it was a Sunday, the day we played Adventures League. And I said, "Hey, do you guys mind if I play, or if you want me to run more time? If you don't want," they're like, "Have Anthony in the saddle one more time before he leaves. Let's do this." And so my right hand, who had taken over league, by the name of Larry, he's like, "Hey, I've got two groups getting ready to do this. You want to run an epic?" I said, "Done." And for those who don't know, an epic is when multiple tables are playing the exact same
Mhm.
area at the same time. And so I had another DM, and they were running a hobgoblin mine. And what it was is one team was supposed to go up front and take care of the cronies and take all the attention at the front door. And the other group, the group I ran, was supposed to make a surgical strike in the back and try to take on the leadership, holding the line until the other group could come and help finish off the big bad.
Mm,
They lost of the entirety of all the characters that went into there. They had a 33% loss of characters, like straight up characters
Oh, wow.
done. And the thing is, those players sat there afterwards and they said, "You know what? Even though my character bit it, my character, what they did mattered. And that is
yeah.
cool." And so what we started is we had this part on our Discord server called the Hall of Heroes. And that's the
Uh,
name, race, or name, species, level, and how you died and what you died doing. And
I
there's not
like
a
it.
name in there
I like that.
of anybody who died capriciously, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was that these characters died with meaning. And the thing is, and this is one of the things I love about
Oh, man.
play, is that even when you quote unquote lose, you don't really lose. It's still winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
We gotta add
Yeah.
a Hall of Heroes to the Holy Rollers Discord now.
Oh
We gotta
yeah.
have to now.
Gonna have to.
That's such a great idea.
It is. I love that. I love that. And I think it's no, I don't think it's a coincidence that when you were kind of had ministry kind of taken away from your abilities in a way that you were able to feed that part of yourself, that shepherding of a community with then shepherding a community of play. I
Yeah.
think
Mhm.
there is so much that is in alignment between what it takes to kind of shepherd a community as a
Mhm.
pastor, and what it takes to shepherd a community as a dungeon master,
Yeah.
as a person facilitating play and facilitating fun and facilitating story.
Yeah.
'Cause I think that's the exact same, like it's the same work. We're facilitating story one way or the other, and we're inviting people into the story one way or the other, and we're creating a space where people feel welcome, ideally one way or the other.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
obviously there are faith communities where that doesn't happen, but
Yeah.
we can recognize that there's a lack because that's not happening. If you're not feeling invited in, that your story matters, that your full self matters, in that space, and that you can be a part of something that matters. But the same thing at the table, like if that what we do as players and in our play, like it's not just some throwaway thing. It's not just some throwaway diversion, but it is actually the juice of what makes life worth living, is being able to be with people and to create stories worth telling together.
And
Absolutely.
I think maybe a main theme here I'm seeing, Anthony, is God teaching you that like ministry happens in a myriad of ways. It's
Oh yeah.
sometimes we limit it to ministry or ministry in a specific sense.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
although when we lose that, that is a very palatable loss and how we thought things would go. Like I think God is just ever showing us that there are so many different ways to show up and that God works inside, outside the church, and
Mhm.
tabletop role playing games for me in therapy.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
so like as a former pastor myself, like God is ever expanding the ways that God and the spirit, the Ruach is at work in the world.
Mhm.
And D&D is just another space where that's being let loose, and ever expanding our minds and how God works and is at work in the world and how we can join that.
Absolutely.
So
And
it's just so cool.
and that's the thing I don't understand about people who gatekeep, gaming. There's this sense of some people who gatekeep gaming of it's only for a certain type of people or this or that. I'm like, this is the one space where you get to be whoever and whatever you want. And the thing is, whether you realize it or not, every character you make, every character you play is some facet of yourself.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Is some facet
Yeah.
of yourself. And when you realize that and you look at it like gatekeeping hurts you, right?
Mhm.
Mm. Yep.
Because by excluding somebody or a group of people or whatever, you are thereby making your experience less
Yeah.
Mm.
in a way. So I've always been one who welcomes everybody to the table. You're new to D&D, you're new to tabletop. Hey, sit at my table. Let's learn together.
Mhm.
Somebody who's like, I haven't really had any good experiences before doing this. I'm like, hey, you know what? Give it a try again with me, and let's see if I can change your mind. You know, and you're right. And I never really thought about that way, but you're right. Ministry has and DMing actually really have a lot of overlap. It really does.
It does. And I just think kind of one of the lessons I've learned coming out of ministry, and also like you, Anthony, I didn't think that I thought I'd be in ministry forever. And that is definitely not what happened. And boy, am I glad, like, because
Yeah,
God is ever faithful in providing new paths and revealing new parts of our heart. But it was just like, I just think I've really learned that the sanctuary where God dwells is in all of creation.
yeah,
And so, with
Amen.
anyone, wherever you are, there can be holiness and sacredness taking place. And as a therapist, connection with other people is really where
yeah,
healing and transformation happens. And I just think D&D is just another facet of humans connecting with other humans, and we all put facets of ourselves in these characters, and we're all interplaying them and trying to play this story. And I feel like every time I put a D&D character together, um, because I am also disabled, um, with autoimmune diseases, um, and my mobility is severe, like, has really taken a marked shift. I love playing some kick-ass characters where I don't have to be that person.
Mhm.
Like, I can recapture parts of myself that I used to have, um, and do things that in my mind I think I can still do,
Yeah,
but
you've never been able to not to.
yeah, and
yeah,
then but sometimes I'm like, "Oh, yeah, shit, in real life, I can't do that." But in D&D, I can do it, and it helps me cope, like, through that. So I totally hear your wonderful and courageous story, Anthony, and
thank you.
just and your passion for people and connection. Like, this game is so much bigger, and so much more than people think it is sometimes.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that story so freely with
absolutely.
us, Anthony,
Yeah.
and sharing so many of those things. Um, well, we are coming towards the end of our time, but before we go, Anthony, we've brought you on to help DM this year's Holy Rollers retreat, a retreat where ministry leaders and other people of faith or people that want to connect around this game and delve into the spiritual depths that these stories might hold as we learn about ourselves. At the Holy Rollers retreat, you've got some things up your sleeve.
I do.
And maybe why don't you just give our listeners what's a little taste of something that you've got lined up that you're really excited about?
I took that idea that last year and I was like, you know what? Friends, pastors, ministry leaders, bring me your minis. And I brought my entire painting kit with me. Well, I'm
Uh,
kind of expanding on that a little this year. And it's going to be something that I don't think has been seen at Holy Rollers before. So look
yeah.
forward to that.
We've got some exciting things in the miniverse
Yes.
coming to
Yum.
the table this year at the Holy Rollers Retreat. Listeners, you can join us at the retreat. Registrations are still open and available. It'll be happening October 20th to the 23rd, I believe are the dates. And if you want to sign up, you can use the code BLEST, BLEST, to get our early bird rate, even though the early bird slot has long passed. But use that code BLEST, BLEST, and sign up and join us for the Holy Rollers Retreat this October. You can find more about that retreat and all the things about Roll for Joy and all the different endeavors that we have at roll4joy.org, roll4joy.org. And that's it for episode number 5 of our Roll for Joycast. Trent, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me at seekhillgrow.com. Or if you are in the state of Minnesota and you're looking for a good therapy clinic, you can also find me at downtoearththerapy.com. And that is in St. Paul. How about you, Rory? Can they find you? Because you have so
Yeah.
many things going on.
Yeah, there's a lot. So I get to serve as pastor of engagement at Prince of Peace in Burnsville, Minnesota. So you can find me over there or track down that website at popmn.org. Like I said before, rollforjoy.org. You can also find opportunities there to engage me as a spiritual director. We'll be kicking off some spiritual direction sessions for individuals and groups in person in the Twin Cities area or online from wherever you're coming from. And it would be great to connect with people. Just reach out and say hi. Anthony, what about yourself? Where can people find you?
My website is thedailydungeonmaster.com. It can be found there. And I'm also on Blue Sky and a couple other places I'm blanking on right now, Instagram, but as the Daily DM or the Daily Dungeon Master.
Wonderful. Wonderful. All right. Now remember, folks, journey together.
Find the fun.
And hold on to hope.
We'll catch you next time. Take care.